Welcome to the Kentucky A-BRI modules. I'm Kara Ackerman from the University of Kentucky, and this module is about feedback for instruction. Today we're going to give you one example of an effective practice, feedback for instruction, that can be easily implemented in an inclusive setting. This practice is appropriate for use at all grade levels and in all content areas. It can be used in all educational settings, from one-to-one instruction to whole class general education settings. Feedback is the information given by teachers to students to improve their learning. It is a simple concept that has big results. Feedback can motivate students and increase their engagement in learning. John Hattie describes feedback as a bridge that gets students from point A, their current level of understanding, to point B, their learning goals. Teachers can use feedback as a scaffold. It can help maximize academic success. Providing feedback is one of the high-leverage practices that have been proven effective in improving student learning. Learning to implement feedback can increase student learning in general education, special education, and inclusive settings. Feedback can be given in multiple ways: verbally, non-verbally like a thumbs-up gesture, or in written form. There are essential features of feedback that teachers need to include in order to make it effective as possible during instruction. The first feature is that effective feedback must move a student toward a goal. Teachers set clear goals for students, and then they use the feedback to tell the student how to improve performance to reach that goal. Feedback that is goal-directed increases the student's motivation and engagement in the task. An example of feedback that is goal-directed is, "I really like how you've identified what you need to solve for this problem, Lewis. Your next step is to determine what you need and what you already have in order to solve it. You're on the right track." Notice how this feedback statement provides the student with the information that they need to make a change in the behavior being addressed. Second, feedback is effective if it is provided in a timely manner. Just like reinforcement, feedback should be given in a timely manner. Delayed feedback is less powerful. Ongoing feedback throughout a lesson prohibits the students from practicing errors. Additionally, feedback provided by the teacher at an appropriate time, rather than when it's solicited from the student, is much more powerful. The third feature of effective feedback is that it should be genuine. Genuine feedback will promote a positive teacher-student relationship. Teachers should provide feedback that is positive rather than judgmental. The way this feedback is delivered is also important. Using a tone that's sincere is more effective than using a tone that should be considered inauthentic, such as overly loud or condescending tone. Relatedly, feedback should be consistent with the student's needs. It should be age-appropriate. Some younger students may like public displays, such as posting their graded work or giving them an award, but others may not. Alternatively, older students may just prefer personal feedback. Finally, feedback should be consistent with the phase of learning in which it's being given. The phases of learning are acquisition, fluency, maintenance, and generalization. Teachers should provide a high rate of feedback initially during acquisition of a skill and then fade that feedback over time. Intermittent reinforcement provided after a skill is mastered will help the student maintain the skill. Three forms of feedback that we will discuss that can increase student achievement are behavior-specific praise, instructive feedback, and corrective feedback. Corrective feedback is also frequently referred to as constructive feedback. Behavior-specific praise is the first type of feedback. It's an intersection of a praise statement specific to the student or the class and specific to a particular expected behavior. It's given when the response that the student exhibits is correct. Behavior-specific praise is an excellent tool to use during instruction because it clarifies the teacher's expectations and encourages other students to engage in that expected behavior. It decreases the teacher's time correcting academic errors and undesired behaviors. It increases time on task, instructional time, correct academic and social responses, student confidence, and positive relationships. The ratio of praise to negative statements is really important as well. Teachers should be providing positive feedback to those academic behaviors that they wish to see more of. Behavior-specific praise has three components. It should describe the desired behavior, be specific to the student or class, and provide a positive praise statement that is sincere and focused on the academic behavior that they want to encourage. It is a misconception that feedback is always corrective. Often, students provide a correct response. When this happens, it is important for the teacher to acknowledge that response is correct and provide instructive feedback. Instructive feedback gives the student additional information related to the learning goal. The information can either be focused on concepts that relate to the learning goal that have been covered in the past, essentially reinforcing for the student how this particular goal relates to previously learned material, Or the additional information can provide a preview into upcoming content, like setting the stage for future learning. When providing instructional feedback, the teacher will follow these steps. First, the teacher will prepare for the learning by providing a clear understanding as to where the current content falls within the standards being taught. Essentially, the teacher has to know what the students should know now and what they need to know in the future. The teacher will provide an opportunity for the student to respond, and if the student responds correctly, then the teacher will verify that that answer is correct. This information is followed by additional information in the form of either reinforcement of a concept or a preview of upcoming concept. Instructive feedback is a powerful tool for teachers because it increases student motivation and effort toward a learning task, student learning outcomes, student use of effective strategies for learning, rate of student learning, academic outcomes across grade levels, disabilities, instructional groupings, and efficiency. Students will learn more in the same amount of time. Not all responses are correct though, so when a student provides an incorrect response, it must be addressed. In this instance, the feedback received needs to be constructive, known as corrective feedback, and set the student up for success in the next trial. Corrective feedback should answer, what should you have done instead for the student? It should also give the steps that the student must take to correct their mistake. It allows the teacher to prompt the student to admit the appropriate response. By allowing this opportunity, the teacher has now given the student a chance to receive additional instruction and positive feedback. This is different than a reprimand. A reprimand only acknowledges the error. It does not provide information on how to correct it. The steps a teacher must follow in order to provide corrective feedback are indicating that the response was incorrect, providing the steps needed to take in order to master the new skill, and provide praise following the corrective behavior. You can see with this example that the teacher scaffolds, only provides what is necessary, and uses questioning to determine what to do next, so the student is guided to the correct response. So, she says, you're on the right track, but look at the sample problem. Where do you find the operation you need to solve this problem? Once the student provides the correct response, he is immediately reinforced with a praise statement. Excellent! Yes, the addition sign is telling us to find the sum. Corrective feedback is an effective strategy to increase student motivation and effort toward a learning task. It is effective because it provides clear and individualized steps the student needs to take in order to reach mastery. If the teacher would have simply said, I see an error here, keep on working, the student would not have received enough information to emit the correct response. Scaffolding is key in utilizing corrective feedback effectively. This module has provided information on what feedback is and 3 specific forms of feedback that you can use immediately in your classroom. Feedback is an effective practice that can be used in inclusive settings. When used with fidelity, it can increase student learning, motivation, and even student independence, which is the ultimate goal that we have for our students. For more information on this and other effective strategies for inclusive settings, visit the Kentucky ABRE website.